Welcome to the Healthy and Redeemed podcast, hosted by Healy Eichert. Healy is a licensed counselor with a passion for helping Christians live healthier lives, emotionally and spiritually. Each episode combines the truth of God's Word with practical advice to help you in your everyday life. Whether you want to grow emotionally, strengthen your faith, or handle life challenges with more peace, this podcast is for you. We're so glad you've joined us. Let's get started.
To God be the glory. Hi, I'm Healy. I'm your host of the Healthy and Redeemed podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm excited to get started. This is part 3 of Renewing Your Mind. Hopefully, you've listened to part 1 and part 2 because this might not make sense, but maybe it will. But as you'll find, my podcast does kind of build on each other. So, if sometimes I'm referencing something you may not totally understand, you might just check back to a previous episode. So in our first episode, I kind of gave the biblical foundation of why it's important to change your thoughts and why it's important to have healthy thoughts. And we talked a little bit about cognitive behavioral therapy and what that looks like. In the last episode, part 2, we talked about the cognitive behavioral triangle. We talked about neural pathways and automatic negative thoughts. And so today we're going to talk specifically about replacement thoughts. The reason why it's so important to replace our thoughts, I think I mentioned this last episode, is like we don't want to just push them out of our mind or think something happy. We want to actually address what the thought is, and so that we can correct it and transform it to make it healthy. So replacement thoughts are basically statements that we put in place of the negative thoughts, and our replacement thoughts need to be healthy. The reason that we need to replace our negative thoughts end up depressing us, they keep us stuck, they remove our motivation, and they physically just aren't good for our brains. The negative thinking is not godly thinking, and that's why I believe that God is telling us through His Word that we are to get our thinking right. So we know we need to replace our negative thoughts with a healthy thought. So what is a healthy thought? A good way to analyze if your thinking is healthy is to ask yourself these 4 questions. And if you can answer yes to all of them, that means it's a healthy thought. So 1 is it truthful? 2 is it encouraging? 3, is it helpful? And 4, is it positively phrased? So that's the criteria. Truthful, encouraging, helpful, and positively phrased. So again, I found this criteria an easy way to remember, and it actually is helpful for clients. Remember that healthy thoughts create these healthy neural pathways in our brains. And this is going to change our emotions for the better and help us create a healthier outlook on life. So let's take a little bit deeper look at these 4 questions. So let's look at, is it truthful? I believe one of the most important things that we can think are true thoughts. Most of the thoughts that we think that are unhealthy are normally not true. We aren't just going to replace our negative thoughts with positive ones. We are going to make sure our thoughts are true. So if we are disappointed because we didn't get to do something, we don't just say, it's okay, it's fine. We can acknowledge that we're disappointed and say, I am disappointed. We can change our thought into how terrible it is that we didn't get to do something to just acknowledging our feeling. It is disappointing that I don't get to do that, but hopefully I can find something else to do, or let me look for something else to do. So we want to make sure our thoughts are truthful, and we don't ever want to deny truth. That's pretty biblical, right? Yes. Okay, the second one, is it encouraging? It's not healthy to think discouraging thoughts. It is important that we have thoughts that encourage us, not thoughts that condemn us. Again, if you're feeling condemned by your thoughts, that is really going to keep you stuck. So if you have a statement about yourself that, like, I am fat, this statement does not motivate us, right? It is not an encouraging statement. Would you say that to a friend? No, that's not how you encourage a friend, right? Even if you want them to go to the gym and you want them to be healthy and all these things, you don't say you are fat. You would think of a better way to say that, something that is more encouraging to them. Again, we don't want to deny truth, but there is a more encouraging way to say things, and we want to be talking that way to ourselves. The next criteria is it helpful? Does the statement, does the thought actually help you or motivate you in some way to do better? We want to make sure that the thought is useful for us. Unhealthy thoughts, again, will keep us stuck and definitely unmotivated. And lastly, we want to make sure that our statement or our thought is positive or positively phrased. Most of the time, if you get through the first three criteria, it will be positive, but we want to make sure that it's positively phrased. So instead of saying something like, if I have the negative thought, I am dumb, I would not necessarily replace it with, I am not dumb, right? Because why? That's got the whole entire sentence except not in our thought. So we really have to replace it with something like, I am wise, or I have the ability to be wise, or I've made a lot of wise decisions in my life. So that's really important to make sure that we are rephrasing in a way that is positively phrased. What are some negative thoughts that you wrote down from last week? Did you have some? I imagine you had a few, because otherwise you probably wouldn't be listening to this episode, right? So we've talked a lot about the ones that I have thought before, and we've even had some replacement thoughts, I think. But let's do one that's pretty common for some people. I hate my body. Let's go through the criteria and see if that is a healthy thought. Is that true? We could argue, yes, it's true. You do hate your body, if someone is thinking that. Is it encouraging? What would you say to that? Is that a yes or a no? Is it encouraging? No. And I would say it's not encouraging because it doesn't bring about a positive feeling. It brings a feeling of hopelessness or sadness or anger at God that He made your body the way He made it. Is the statement helpful? I hate my body. Is that helpful in any way? Some might argue it could be helpful in the fact it might motivate you to do something, but I would argue differently. I don't think discouraging statements motivate us. I just don't. I have not seen it before, and if it does motivate you, it's for a short amount of time. It's not a sustained motivation. And is it positively phrased? I would say with the word hate in there, it is not positively phrased. What might be a positive replacement statement for that? I hate my body. A replacement statement might be, I am made in the image of God. And I think you could even maybe, I don't really like the word hate. So I would probably even change that if you're going to keep that statement, because sometimes I think it's okay, especially since that's true, that you could keep that, even though it doesn't meet any of the other criteria of I hate my body, but maybe I don't like my body. And even though that's not a great statement, we could keep that if we add but to the end. Like, I don't like my body, but I know I'm made in the image of God. Or I don't like my body, but I know that I can work to love it. So this would be one that I would work with on a client to go, okay, what works for you? I might ask them, what would you tell a friend that said that? And then take the statement that they say and use it or kind of morph it into something that works for them. Because here's the thing with replacement thoughts, you really have to say something that fits well with you. Especially as women, we go through the phase where we don't like parts of ourselves. And I think that's true, especially when we're young. And as I personally think as we get older, we do just learn to accept certain things about ourselves. It's not going to change, especially if you're not going to do surgery or something. But learning how, like, this is my body. This is what God gave me. It's not a surprise to him. He intentionally made me the way that he made me. Now, if I'm not healthy physically, then that is something that I can change. But if I don't like the way my ears are shaped or the longness of my toes or, the shortness of my legs, whatever it is, that's not something necessarily you're going to change by going to the gym or something like that. Like, God gave you your body, and learning to love what he gave, I think, brings honor to him. So we need to have a replacement statement that is encouraging to us, that is true, and brings him glory. And that is what a healthy thought does. Okay, let's take a negative thought like, I make bad decisions. Probably the statement most clients say is, I always make bad decisions. So we would ask ourselves, is that true? The answer would probably be no. Now, I make bad decisions. That answer might be yes. But that actually is true of everyone. So, but anyway, so that could be true. Is it encouraging? No. Is it helpful? No. Again, because it is not encouraging or helpful, that statement, I make bad decisions, will probably keep us stuck where we do anything we can to avoid making a decision because we think we make bad ones. So it's really important to have a replacement thought for that one. So again, if you want to use that statement, you can. I make bad decisions, but everyone makes bad decisions sometimes. I personally prefer, and now I usually use the but ones when the client can't think of anything else to replace it with. But normally as we work through things, they get better at this. But I would say, I have made good decisions before. I make good decisions. Now that's a good replacement statement because it is truthful, it's encouraging, it's helpful. And normally it's important because people do. We're not an always or never kind of people. Like, yes, we make bad decisions, but we also make good ones, right? If we just think all the time that we make bad decisions, then that's going to hinder us in life. So one more, let's talk about, I'm a bad mom. This is a thought that comes in my office a lot. A lot of moms think they're bad moms. Now, honestly, I think deep down they know they're not, because the first question is that truthful? And, they hesitate, but ultimately we can get to it's not truthful. Normally when we are evaluating our skill, especially as a parent, I normally, before I even go down this thought evaluation process, analyzing, is it truthful, is it helpful, is it encouraging, I normally ask, what is the definition of a good mom? And let them have a criteria for a good mom. What does a good mom look like? And normally they'll make out that list, and then we can really analyze, am I a bad mom? And normally the answer then is no, because they actually meet their own criteria of a good mom. Now, that doesn't mean we're a good mom every day of our life. I mean, we have moments of being excellent moms and we have moments of being not so excellent, right? It's important to just understand that's part of being a person. Like we are good and we're not so good, and we make good decisions, we make bad decisions. Sometimes we're, on top of our mental healthiness, and sometimes we're not. So just recognizing that about ourselves, we're not going to be 100% anything. Anytime we say we're not good enough, or things like I'm a bad Christian, or something where we're evaluating ourselves, it's best to kind of start with the list of what does good enough mean? How would I even meet that criteria? Or how does a regular person meet the criteria of being good enough, a good enough mom or a good enough Christian? What's that criteria? As you make out that list, then you actually have something to evaluate yourself against, because otherwise this concept of a good enough mom, a good mom, good enough Christian, good Christian, like that's just hard to, it's so vague that it's hard to measure yourself up. Like then it's just your own personal opinion. Like, oh yeah, I'm good. Oh yeah, I'm bad. So anyway, and I believe that just fluctuates all the time on a continuum. Some moments were like perfect and other moments were not so great. So, okay. So after we take the negative thought, we evaluate it based on that criteria: truthful, encouraging, helpful, positively phrased. And we identify a healthy thought replacement, okay? So in my Changing Your Feelings book, I use the example of no one likes me. And we evaluated that, found that it's not true, it's not encouraging, it's not helpful, it's not positively phrased. And then we changed that to something like, there are many people who actually love me. And this is where feelings can get in the way, that you might feel like nobody loves you. Our feelings are very deceptive and they can lead us astray. So it's very important that we're always guided by truth. Our thoughts should be guided by truth, not by our emotions. So it's fine to say, I don't feel loved. But it's harmful to us if we say, I'm not loved, because that's not true. You are loved. And even if there wasn't one person on earth that loved you, God loves you. And Jesus died on the cross for you out of his love for you. I do know, though, that there are people that love you. If you were to think no one loves me, that there are people on earth that love you. And if you really feel like there is nobody, then I would say you're probably not getting out enough and sharing yourself with people so they have an opportunity to love you. So that's what your homework is going to be for this week, is to take that negative thought list that you created and create some healthy replacement thoughts. Now, if you want to know if they are good thoughts, first you can just note, do they resonate with you? Do you like them? Do they feel encouraging to you? Because your replacement thought might be different than someone else's, and that's okay. If you want an outside opinion and want my thoughts on it, you can definitely send those to me. There's a text link in the show notes, and you can just send me a quick text and let me know if what I think about it, and I'm happy to share that with you. So the last part that is helpful as you transform your thoughts is to provide proof. When you take your negative thought, the negative thought's going to pop into your mind, and you're going to replace it with the healthy thought. What is going to happen, I promise this is going to happen. What's going to happen is your mind is going to try to argue you out of your healthy replacement thought. Okay. So for example, if the automatic negative thought that comes into my mind is I am dumb, and I replace it with I am smart, my brain, because it wants to go down that strong neural pathway, it's going to say, no, you're dumb, and here's why. And it's going to give me some reasons why I'm dumb. To prove my case, I need to have something to back me up that I'm actually smart, right? So I'm going to think of specific examples in my life that show that I am smart, okay? Or things that I'm doing now. So I'm smart because I can hold a job. I am smart because I work hard. I am smart because I have made this decision and this decision and this decision. I'm smart because I've graduated high school. I'm smart because I've graduated college. I'm smart because I am raising my kids well. I'm making good decisions regarding them. Now, again, we're not doing that 100% of the time because nobody's smart 100% of the time. But I do have as many examples of being smart as I do of being dumb. So it's really important that we, for our replacement statements, that we have on the side of those replacement statement thoughts, that we have some proof of that being true, okay? So if my negative thought is I'm ugly, my replacement thought is I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, I could even go as far to say I'm beautiful. And what's my proof? Well, my husband says I'm beautiful. God believes I'm beautiful. I'm made in his image after all. And maybe thinking of any specific situations that someone has said something kind in that regard. Now, I'm not a person that says I'm beautiful because I don't necessarily believe that is true. But do I have an inner beauty that is more important than that? Yes. I mean, that's what I work on. That's what I want to be working on. So my replacement statement would be something along that line. But honestly, my replacement statement to that is it doesn't really matter what I look like. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And in that makes me happy. And that I can accept a lot of things about myself. Not everything, because some things I'm working on and want to change, but I can accept at a higher, more general level of who I am, that I've been made in God's image and He loves me. And I don't have to be perfect for Him to love me. Some really important things to remember then. Negative thoughts pop automatically into our mind. It doesn't mean that, it really doesn't mean anything. It's just a normal part of who we are. But if we want to create and have ourselves thinking healthier, then we need to start replacing those thoughts with something that is healthy. It's going to be kind of hard at first, but remember, we're building new neural pathways so that we can function better, so that we can think differently. And the more we practice, the better and stronger these pathways are going to get. And this is what I have found. When you actually do this, it'll be a lot of work at first, but after a while, your brain will actually take over and do it for you. And you'll be really surprised one day when a negative thought pops into your mind and then suddenly you just change it and it's very easy. This is what God wants us to do. So He's definitely going to help you. Now, it is hard, but God will help you. And I think as you work on these healthy thoughts, you are going to be amazed at how different your outlook on life is, how your gratitude will grow, how you'll look for the positive in things, how you'll look for the truth in things, how you'll try to be encouraging to yourself. And that is always a good question to ask yourself when you notice a possible negative thought that have popped into your mind is, would I say that to a friend? And if the answer is no, then you know quickly that it's not a healthy thought and you need to transform it into something that's better and that's going to work for you. I know that you can do it. And with a little prayer and a little perseverance, you are going to be able to do it. And I am excited about that. Once you practice these techniques for several weeks, I would love if you would report back to me small or big changes that have happened because of that. So you can go to my website and do a contact me form, or in the show notes, there's a place that says text me. You can reach out and let me know. Has this episode been helpful? And have you put some things into practice, and what changes have you seen? Again, it's going to take a little bit of time and it's going to be a little hard, but I promise if you'll push through, you will get to where you want to be. And I hope that's a place filled with joy, with a worldview that is in gratitude and that just sees the blessings all around you. And that is a wonderful place to be. I thank you for joining me today. Let's go out this week and live a life that is healthy and redeemed, reflecting Jesus Christ in all that we do. Thanks again for joining me. Lord willing, I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening. The information provided is to be used as a resource. If you have a serious mental issue, we would encourage you to contact a therapist in your state.